The first time he pinned me against the mahogany desk, I thought I was about to be fired. Or worse, arrested. Who knew balancing numbers could feel like standing at the edge of a cliff with the wind daring you to jump? Ethan Vance wasn't just my boss. He was the kind of man newspapers described with words like ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. A man who could walk into a boardroom and silence billionaires with one glance. And yet, here he was, his breath brushing the shell of my ear, whispering a secret so devastating it made my heart stumble against my ribs. "You saw it, didn't you?" he murmured low and sharp, like a knife pressed to my throat. "The ledger, the transfers, the money flowing where it shouldn't." I had spent weeks untangling a web of numbers that didn't add up, until the truth began to take shape. The empire wasn't as clean as it looked. And if what I saw was true, Ethan wasn't just the CEO, he was the man protecting a scandal big enough to collapse the company, maybe even drag half of Wall Street down with it. I should have denied it, pretended I didn't know. But his eyes pinned me, storm gray and unreadable, and my tongue betrayed me. Yes, that one word changed everything. Ethan's grip tightened on the desk, trapping me between his body and the polished wood. The city glowed behind him, but in that moment all I saw was the sharp line of his jaw and the faint crack in his perfect mask. He wasn't just cold, I realized. He was afraid. And I, the junior accountant with nothing but student loans and a cheap apartment in Brooklyn, suddenly held his fate in my hands. "You don't understand what this means," he said, his voice breaking for the first time since I'd met him. "If this gets out, it destroys everything. Not just me. Not just the company. You too." I should have pushed him away, walked out of that office and straight to the authorities. But there was something in his eyes, something raw, human, desperate, that stopped me. And God help me, I wanted to understand him more than I wanted to be safe. 3 weeks earlier, I never would have imagined this. Back then, my life was spreadsheets, cheap coffee, and the quiet pride of keeping my head down in a city that never slowed. I was just another nameless employee in Vance Financial, a behemoth that loomed over Manhattan like a cathedral to capitalism. And yet, from the moment I saw Ethan in person, something shifted. It wasn't just his presence, though that alone was magnetic. It was the contradiction. The way he looked untouchable, but his eyes carried shadows. I told myself it was admiration, respect. But the truth whispered louder with every accidental glance, every stolen moment in the elevator. I wanted him. Of course, that was ridiculous. He was my boss. He was Ethan Vance. And men like him didn't look twice at men like me. Or so I thought. Now, standing inches from him, my pulse rioting, the absurdity of it all struck me. A forbidden secret, a forbidden desire, both tangled together in a moment that could ruin us. "What do you want from me?" I asked, my voice rough. Ethan's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Your silence. Your loyalty." He paused, and then softer. "And maybe, your trust." The room fell quiet, save for the hum of the city below. I felt the weight of the choice pressing down on me. If I said yes, I would be complicit. If I said no, I could lose everything, including this impossible connection sparking to life between us. And in his eyes, I saw the same war. Duty against desire. Fear against longing. "I don't even know if I can trust you," I whispered. "You already do," he said, and it wasn't arrogance, it was truth. His hand, once gripping the desk, brushed against mine. Just a touch, barely there, but it burned like fire racing through my veins. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to fall, not gradually, not safely, but all at once, straight into the unknown. And God help me, I didn't want to stop. I had never been so close to losing everything. The boardroom was chaos. Lawyers whispering, investors pounding fists against the table, and Ethan standing like a statue at the center of it all. For weeks, I had lived with the secret he gave me, the numbers that could unravel his empire. I should have turned them over, should have let the world see the cracks. Instead, I had stayed with him. And now, watching him fight for his company with a calm that bordered on terrifying, I realized what we were both risking wasn't just money or reputation, it was us. After hours of arguments, signatures, and settlements, the storm broke. Ethan walked out of the conference room with his mask still on, but his hands shook when he closed the door behind us. It was the first time I had seen him tremble. "You should have left me," he said, voice hoarse. "You should have saved yourself." "Maybe," I admitted, stepping closer. "But then who would save you?" His laugh was bitter, sharp. "I don't deserve saving." I reached for him anyway, my hand on his wrist, steadying the quake. "That's not your decision to make." For a long moment, he just looked at me like I was a language he'd never learned to read, and yet somehow he understood. Then, slowly, the walls he had built for years cracked. He leaned into me, forehead against mine, and breathed out the words I never thought I'd hear. "I'm so tired of being alone." That night, he took me to the rooftop of Vance Tower. The city sprawled beneath us, alive with lights and noise, but up there it was quiet, almost holy. Ethan stood at the edge, staring at the skyline like it was both his kingdom and his prison. "All my life," he said, "I thought power would make me safe, that if I controlled enough, owned enough, no one could touch me. But you," his voice faltered, "you're the only one who ever scared me, because you see me, not the CEO, not the name, just me." I stepped beside him, the wind cold against my skin, his presence warm against my heart. "And what do you see when you look at me?" I asked. His gray eyes met mine, softer now, almost fragile. "The reason I want to be better." For the first time since this dangerous game began, I didn't feel like prey cornered by a predator, or an employee trapped by a boss. I felt like someone who mattered. And then he kissed me, not like the desperate brush of lips we'd stolen in shadows before, but fully, openly, with the weight of a man choosing to let go of everything he'd built just to hold on to something real. His hands framed my face, mine tangled in his suit jacket, and the city kept spinning, but for us, time stilled. We didn't solve everything that night. The company still carried scars. The world still watched Ethan with suspicion, and the shadow of that secret would never fully fade. But in the weeks that followed, something shifted. He let me in. Mornings weren't just headlines and stock reports, they were coffee shared at his kitchen table. His hair still damp from the shower, his eyes still heavy with sleep. Evenings weren't just strategy sessions, they were quiet dinners. Laughter spilling between us as though neither of us had ever known how to before. Sometimes he'd wake in the middle of the night, breathing hard, haunted by ghosts I couldn't name. But when I touched him, when I whispered his name, he would soften, letting the world slip away until it was just us again. And me? I stopped waiting for the day it would all fall apart. Instead, I learned to believe in something I had never dared to before. That love, even born from ruin, could be enough. On a warm spring evening months later, we found ourselves back on that same rooftop. The city was alive beneath us, neon and restless, but he looked at me like I was the only thing worth seeing. Ethan reached into his pocket, pulled out nothing more than a simple silver band, and slipped it into my hand. "No boardrooms, no contracts, just this," he said, voice low. "Stay with me. Not because you have to, because you want to." My throat tightened, and for once, I didn't need words. I slid the ring onto my finger, leaned in, and kissed him until the city disappeared. The empire might rise and fall. Secrets might haunt us forever. But in that moment, with his hand clasped in mine and the night sky opening above us, I knew the truth. We had survived the wreckage, and together we had found our way home. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.